Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to this first New Year's episode of Monday Motivation. Monday Motivation started off actually as an email that was sent around my corporate colleagues back in about 2008. It was something that I realised that on a Monday, people were motivated to start their week, but they started out a little deflated. So starting out from sending an email around to office colleagues in my background then as a senior manager in financial services to what it is today. I brought it into this business in 2010 and thought it would be a nice way to splatter a little bit of Monday motivation, not just for your Monday, but also your morning and your week. So for those of you that watch this live and like to hop in the comments and say hi and and add comments and questions and things like that, I'm waving and saying hello to you. But you know what? If you're watching this live and you like to lurk in the background and just taking the information, that's great too. So if you're like Ian, who says, hey up, this morning he says, hi up, good morning Jenny, and everyone else joining in, good morning to you. Well, it feels like I haven't seen you, not you personally, Ian, but all of you on these Monday Motivations for a while. So this morning, I thought a really great theme. We're hearing about new year, new you, goals, plans, wishes and dreams. And when the dust settles on these Monday Motivations, when the dust settles on the new year, new you, and when the dust might settle on having to get up to go to the gym, or start the new focus plan, or do the new eating, or start looking for the new relationship, or whatever it is you're planning to do, once that dust settles, then who knows what's left afterwards. So what I wanted to do was to share not one, not three, but 10 different ways that you can be your own almost motivational coach. So here are 10 things to look out for. And just before I do that, my name is Jenny Kovacs. If you've never ever watched one of my lives before, I tend to do these lives in my home office. I tend to do these lives in a non-studio, non-airbrush type of way, because this is how my life is, and this is likely how your life is too. So, I've just, whoops. Sorry, someone just sent me a message and it goes halfway down the screen. I like to see your comments and what you need. So I have been, traditionally I trained as a life coach, and then I specialised into an area that I now am known as the Queen of Being Seen, a visibility specialist, because I really like to help people stand out. And whilst I do this for many people professionally, I still have some clients that I take on where we do some classic life coaching stuff, and a lot of the things that I share have its roots in life coaching. So I hope you've got your pens to the ready and a piece of paper just to note these down. And here's how I suggest you use these 10 motivators. If, as I'm speaking about one of them, it resonates kind of more strongly than another, just make a note of what the thing is and look for examples in your life where you've tended to resonate. Maybe you've seen these happen more in your life, and use these as your first motivators. And while I'm sharing 10 of them, and you've likely got more by the way, there is no right or wrong, good or bad. As you go through, just pick a couple that you're going to be uber aware of and use these as a springboard to motivate you. You can always bookmark this Facebook Live and come back if you want to remember what the others are. So first off, in the first category, I'm going to kind of split these 10 into twos. One of the first things we can do when we look at motivating ourselves. Hey, Shelley Harris, how are you? That's fine. I know that you're busy on a Monday morning. Do come back and watch this. I think you'll like this one. So one of the things that we are at any given time, and these aren't categories that we are all the time, by the way. At any given time, we're either on one side of a spectrum, the other side of the spectrum, or anywhere in between. So if you think of these as a sliding scale. So the first one is, are we motivated more from ourselves or from other people? Now, this is a really important one. This is the difference between whether you lock yourself in a darkened room and crack on with doing something, or whether you seek community in doing it. I hear a lot of entrepreneurs tell me that being an entrepreneur is a lonely place to be. And the reason that they're likely feeling that is because deep down inside, for the thing that they're working on right there and right then, they actually are more driven by others. So even if it's a virtual, you work online and it's a virtual way to hang out in a forum or something like that, or maybe you go to the local coffee shop and you sit down and work from there. Now, if you're in an environment where you're maybe in a corporate environment, it could be that you like sitting at your desk, but you like your desk to be with other people's desks. I once worked in an organisation where it was an open plan office, about 250 people, which meant that even though the senior management team were also situated in that office, it was like this kind of whole community, whole environment. So first motivator is identify, or the first two is identify whether you are driven to do your thing or that thing that you're focusing on, yourself or your others. Here's what it will look like. If you're motivated by yourself, it could be that you have discovered a why, a big dream, a vision, a plan. Good morning, Francis. It could be that you've discovered one of those. And if you've discovered something that is like your vision, your passion, your purpose, this is likely to actually be driven by the self. And remember what I said, it's either self, others, and it can slide in between. So you could be like smack bang in the middle. So identify whether the true drive is coming from yourself or whether it's coming from others. Maybe you're being of service to others. So seeing other people get the results is what makes it. Let me give you an example of this. I remember when I first ran the very first sales academy that I ran for a company. It was a 6-month sales academy. And I remember people kept asking me, like, how's the academy going? How's it working out? And I said, actually, I think it's okay. I feel like it's going okay, but really you need to ask the people that are participating. And the reason that I said that wasn't because I didn't have the confidence in what I was doing or the drive or the passion, but for me, the most important tangible results were coming from those people. But in the same way, let's say that you're working with me as a private coaching client and I'm like really driving for your success and looking at you to be the person that's motivating it. Sorry, very busy morning already, messages galore. Let's say that that's just really distracted me now. So let's say that I was more driven by myself in that, then my response would be different. My response would be very much of this is what's going and this is what's going to happen next and blah, blah, blah. But if you're working with me as a client, for example, or as part of that academy, and you were, I would be looking at your results, your motivation, the thing that you want as an outcome. And in that instance, I'm actually more driven by other. Very recently, I did some close-up and personal work with a client, and they had a very specific outcome. And a few days later, I asked them how that outcome was going. Kind of, because it's a work in progress. Not everything is a magic pill or overnight. And they actually came back and said, already, I've noticed a huge difference. So for me, that was a really great external motivator. So I know that if I'm looking to achieve something in a specific way, if my internal guidance is telling me, you know what, on this occasion, my motivator is going to come from something that's happening outside, which is very different to what's actually taught in spiritual and personal development. Everything is already within you. Yes, absolutely. On this occasion, what continually motivates me is what's happening for that other person. Hope that makes sense. So first two motivators then are self or other. You might be exactly smack bang in between. This is not a choice about right or wrong. This is about what actually motivates you. And this is not something that if you've got clients and you've got your own business and you're one of my busy business owner people, and this is not something that you then need to put into your marketing. This is definitely an internal thing for you. Hey, good morning, Alan. Nice to see you on here. Okay, so next two motivators, because I'm clustering the 10 in two. So sometimes we find information, we learn information, we glean information. It might be from our family, friends, a coach, could be a webinar, podcast, or anywhere else, a magazine, TV. When we glean this information and it is completely new, then we can deal with it, we can utilize it and put it out there in a different, completely different way. Sometimes we're like, oh yeah, I've heard that before. Now, some of the most I'm going to say most successful people, i.e. the people that get the results of the things that they want to do, it's like they know this, but they don't consciously know this. So if you're looking to be really successful and to motivate yourself, if you get new information, then do something with it as quickly as you can. I mean, as quickly as you can. If you, like for example, I will prescribe you, as I do to many of my clients, the pill of noticing. Not necessarily going straight out and doing, but just noticing. And it could be, for example, I'm asking you to notice your language. Do you say certain phrases a lot? Do you try to do things instead of just going for it? So that as an example. So when I give you the pill of noticing, and these are things that I do myself, if you say, right, I'm going to start doing that next week, that's not necessarily the soonest possible time. You might say, oh, I'll try that next week. And I'll be like, oh, there you go, a few seconds. So if from straight away, you can start to just notice what you do within yourself. And this is going to be really great for this particular Facebook Live, which, by the way, please do share with friends, with family, on your timeline, even in your groups if you are allowed to share in your groups. So when something is new, try it on for as soon as possible, like within seconds. When something is new, and this is a new maybe concept or behavior, just start to observe where you can use it, how you can use it. However, if you've heard of this thing before, then look at what you've done with it before and look to build on it. It's like building a house. If you take yourself out of the game and say, oh, I already know that, then you stop and stunt your growth. It's like building a house and building another story to a house. Yes, I've heard this before, and now I'm going to take it up to this next level. So the second two are about if something's new, go for and implement it wherever you can, as soon as you can. But if it's something that you've heard before, look at building it. Okay, next two motivators, and I'm not going to go into too much detail with these because there's a whole sort of bigger piece underneath. But the next two motivators are you looking at following a process, so a step-by-step, or doing something in what feels like a more logical order, bang, 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 1, 2, 3, and going through that way? Or are you looking at maybe a bit of blue sky thinking, a bit of creating options, a bit of wanting to pick here, there and everywhere? Now, the reason that I ask this is that in any given moment, you're not going to be an options person or a process person. Many people believe that they are. Many people say that I'm very process driven and I go step by step. When the truth of the matter is, within you, in a specific situation, you could be more process driven. And in another situation, you could be more blue sky, creating options. Neither is right or wrong, good or bad, just different. One of which will motivate you more in that moment, and one of which will kind of close you down a bit. And the best way to do it is to go with your internal guidance, your gut. One will make you feel great, and one will kind of make you feel like the life is being sucked out of you. Okay, so are you looking at options, creating more options to do things in a different way? This is great in the planning process. Or are you looking to start to formalize that? So in order to get that process done and finished, are you now looking at the steps that you're going to take? Very, very important. Okay. And then finally, the next, in fact, it's not finally, that's 5 and 6. The next two, as human beings, in any given situation, to be able to motivate ourselves, we're driven to go either towards something or away from something. Normally, if we're feeling a bit fearful about something, we're looking to get away from it, okay? So, for example, well, in fact, before I give the example, if we're fearful of something, we're often looking to get away from it, and sometimes we're looking to strive to move forward. Now, there's a statistic that says something like around 85% of us are more driven to get away from something than to move towards something. But again, in my experience, it depends on what that thing is. So let's say, for example, it's a new year and you've decided that you're going to become vegan in January, or maybe for the rest of your life. What some people will do is they'll have a look at getting away from. So they will face it in, whatever I put on my plate, I want to not have meat. I want to get away from eating meat or meat-based products, and they'll look at getting away from it. Whereas other people, because they're striving towards it, they will be saying, plant-based diet, I'm looking for anything that's plant-based, tasty, this is how I'm going to move forward. Okay, so people will go forward and move towards something. Some people will go away from it. Maybe they've got a personal health issue and they know that becoming vegan on this occasion is going to help them with that. So they want to get away from that old lifestyle, that old health concern, and want to maybe move towards, or I should say maybe want to move towards a new way of living, a new way of life. So Frances says, great share, I'm right into it, and I can recognise myself and my situation in what you were sharing. Oh, excellent. It says that see more thing again, so I'm gonna presume that there's no more after that, but I will respond fully if there is Frances. Excellent. And this is what I really want you to do with this video. As I say, if you've got groups that you can share this in, then please do share this. But more importantly, if you share this on your timeline, you never know who of your friends, family, co-workers, peers, colleagues, lurkers could need to hear this. You never know what situation somebody is going through where they need to be able to motivate themselves. Sometimes it's not a great situation, and these kind of tools aren't taught in schools. These kind of tools often aren't taught in the workplace unless you're on a specific training course, and sometimes people don't get access to it, and that's why I do these Monday motivations. So the fourth cluster is, are you looking on that specific thing that you are working on or looking at or part of a project on or trying to change in your life? Are you looking at getting away from something or moving towards something? And then the final two clusters is around the way in which we take action. And it's so funny because there's a school of thought, especially in the coaching or personal development industry, where you go for it, go for it, go for it. But you know that two of the motivators, one of them is action and to go for it really, really quickly. So in fact, it's to be active. And the second one is to be reflective. Now, let me explain how this could look for you. Some of you really, when you've got a big decision to make or something that you want to do, some of you benefit from just getting quiet and sitting and writing it all down in a journal. Some of you might get some sort of benefit from sitting down and just really thinking it over. Have you ever heard yourself say, you know what, I'm going to sleep on it, I'm going to think about it? That is the reflective part of the process. It might be that you sleep on it overnight. I mean, these Monday motivations, I plan the subjects and sometimes I'll change them at the last minute. And if I change it a day or two before, it could be because I've been hearing it a lot from coaching clients. It could be that I've been hearing or seeing it a lot in my life. Or maybe there's just a kind of a feeling out there that, you know what, there's something there that's going on that I think I need to bring forward and out there. Whatever that driver is, I will then create this Monday motivation. And one of the things that really serves me on it is I literally sleep on it. I literally on the Sunday night say, these are the points that I want to share. And then I'll go to sleep. That gives me that reflective period to be able to do that. And then on the flip side, there is the active part of this. And remember, you can be active, reflective, or anywhere in between. So it might be, I'm going to be really active, but I need a bit of reflection. Have you ever been speaking to somebody and they've gone, give me a moment, just give me a second to think about it? Okay, that's it. They did their reflective bit in those few seconds. Now they've gone into the active part. Whereas sometimes you might think, right, okay, just had this idea or this thing, and it might be time critical, and you'll think, you know what, I'm good to go with this, I'm going to move forward. The issue might be where it's time critical, you've got a deadline, and you are in the reflective phase and you feel like you need more reflective time. This is one of the reasons that when I teach people sales methods and sales techniques, especially when I'm talking to busy business owners, sometimes when we make that offer to somebody, they might need a certain period of reflection. Even though they know it's right for them, they might need a period of reflection. There's a difference between being active and being reflective, or taking yourself out of something by looking or conjuring up reasons why you should not do a thing. That's not being reflective. But you might find that you're going into action, or that you need a bit of time to think. So those 10 motivators to be your own motivator. Are you driven by yourself? Is there a drive coming within you? Are you being driven by others? Neither is right or wrong, good or bad. We all have these and more. Second two, is it something that's new for you that you are going to start using, so you're going to notice where and when and how you can use it? Or is it something you've heard already and you're metaphorically building another story to your house where you're building on what you already know? Is it that it's something that you want to create more ideas? Maybe you feel like you're in a dilemma with this particular thing. Should I do this or that? In which case you want to create more ideas and more options. Or is it that on this occasion you've created the ideas, the options and the various different things, and now you need a step-by-step process, a guide, a plan to move it forward? Is it that you are looking to achieve something, so you're looking at getting closer to something, or looking at getting away from something that just you need to end it now? You've had enough of that particular thing and now you want something different. Or is it that you just need a little bit of time to think, a little bit of time to reflect, time to sit, be quiet, journal and write it down? Or you're good to go. You feel it in your gut, you're going to go for it, and you're going to make it happen as soon as you possibly can. Let me know which ones of these spoke to you. As I say, there are 10 of them, and whilst they will all have resonated on some level, for the thing or the circumstance that you're thinking about now, just pick maybe one or two, maybe even 3 that really, really spoke to you, and implement them, build on them. Look at moving yourself towards the thing or away from the thing. Please do share in the comments below. I love to hear these things. But if you feel like posting on a public Facebook page is too open and, too much kind of, in other people's faces, then do go over to the Visibility Vibes Tribe Facebook group, where you'll find at least 850 people there that are just the juiciest people on the planet, the softest place to land, and sharing there. So I look forward to seeing what you glean from this, what you do with this, and remember that motivation isn't just for Monday. You can take it through from your morning, your Monday, but also through to the rest of your week. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you're watching this on the replay, thank you for watching this back. And most importantly, thank you so much for sharing this with other people. I look forward to hearing what you're doing with these things. Bye for now.